Hello everyone and welcome to Cricut Magic. And today what we're going to be doing is we are going to be making a Summerween sign. Now if you don't know what Summerween is, it's something that has been taking the internet by storm recently, and it is the cross between Halloween and summer to kind of create a cute, fun crossover. So today we're going to be making a cute banner that's going to hang somewhere inside of your house if you would like, and we are going to be making it out of paper. So what we're going to be doing is, first off, you're going to need some materials. And of course, you're going to need your Cricut Maker machine. And from there, what you're going to want is flat surface to work on. Then you're going to need your light grip mat. You're also going to need some cardstock paper for this project in particular. And this set has a lot of different colors that we can use that are both summer and Halloween. So we should be all good to go with that. And then from here, you're probably going to want a pair of scissors, and these can be a big pair or a small pair of scissors, just some form of scissors nearby. Then you're also going to want some form of weeder tool, and it doesn't really matter what kind of weeder tool that you have, just something to help you take care of the smaller pieces of paper that you don't need in your project as we're cutting things out. Next, you're probably going to want some sort of a squeegee or scraper tool nearby so that we can get the excess materials off of our mat easier. Now, you're also probably going to want some form of glue, whether it be a glue stick, some form of adhesive so that you can stick paper on top of one another for our banner. And then because we are making a banner of some sort, you're going to want some twine, some string, some yarn, something to be able to hang your banner with. All right, so now that we have all of our materials gathered and together, we can go ahead and switch over to our computer or your device that has Cricut Design Space installed on it, and we can get started with our project. And welcome to the homepage of Design Space. So what we're going to do from here is you're just going to hit on New Project, and a blank canvas should open up for you. Now from here what we're going to be doing is we are going to actually be coming over to images, because for this banner in particular, if you've been following along with some of the other projects that I've been creating, you know that we made a 4th of July banner, and through images we found the perfect kind of banner for that project. This time we're going to be doing something a little bit different. I don't want pendant banners this time. For this project in particular, we're going to actually be using silhouetted images to create our back piece for our banners. So we're going to search through images and we're going to be finding Halloween and summer themed pieces that we can use that are going to be distinguishable. So let me show you what I mean as I pull it up. Alright, so we have pulled up images, so I am just going to search for Halloween. And from here what I'm going to do is I'm also going to filter by free images, because I do not have Cricut Access. Now if you do have the Cricut Access subscription, you don't need to worry about that. But for me, I just need to keep that in mind as I go. So from here you can see there are a bunch of different kinds of images, and I'm thinking of a couple of different kinds. I'm just not quite sure what I want, so I'm going to add in a ghost, a pumpkin, probably this spider web as well onto the canvas, because those are going to be very distinguishable figure pieces for the backing of our project. So I went ahead and I added all of those pieces to our project. And now for, say, like the ghost and the skull here, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to be contouring these so that you just have the silhouetted image. So you just go into contour, you hit hide all contours, click outside of it, and now you can see we just have a skull. And it's pretty distinguishable, I'd say, as a skull. However, we'll see as the project moves forward if we actually decide if we want this as part of our banner. So just repeat that process for the ghost. And now you have the silhouette of the ghost as well. I think maybe at the end of the day we won't use the skull, but I am going to keep it up. So now we're going to be looking for some summer images that we can use. So a seashell is pretty universal. I think everyone can kind of identify that as something that is summer-like. As I scroll down here, I'm looking for others. This sun should be something that would work for our banner as well, and I'm looking for one more kind of image. So I went ahead and I actually looked up beach and then I looked up surfboard, because I feel like a surfboard is something that most people would definitely associate with the summer season, and I'm liking this one right here just because it kind of has that little fin underneath it to really kind of tell that it's a surfboard, and we'll work with this image to make it perfect for our sign as well. So let me just add that to the canvas. Now we need to come out of images and we're just going to rearrange everything right here. And so as I go along with just kind of spacing these out, I am going to contour these images, hide some of those pieces, just so that it's a step that I don't have to do later. So with the surfboard, I'm going to take out that one large piece right there. And we'll see at the end what else I take out. For now, we'll leave it like this though. Perfect. I think I am going to take the skull out because I'm liking how this is looking. Perfect. And now that I have decided on 6 images to use for this project, let's kind of get it lined up how we want it to be for our banner. Now this is where the project is going to start to get a little bit more complex, because what I need to do now is I need to make sure that all of these are going to be of similar sizing for when they hang up on the string. So we're just going to choose a size that is within the sizing for our letter size paper to go off of. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have all of these at a height of 4 inches or 4.5 inches, because I think that will be a good size at the end of the day for all of these in terms of height. So let's play around with that a little bit and see how it looks. Okay, so I actually changed my mind a little bit. I changed the sizing of all of these pieces to be 6 inches instead. And I mean, when I say 6 inches, I mean 6 inches in height. So from here, I want to offset this surfboard by 1/4 of an inch, because I want the fin, but I don't want anything else from this project. So now that the offset is set up with our surfboard, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be slicing these 2 images together, because I want to keep this little fin here at the bottom so you can really kind of tell that it's a surfboard. So what we're going to do is we are going to select both layers of the surfboard, so the surfboard and the offset, and we are just going to hit this slice symbol down here. Alright, so I decided against having the little wavy lines in there just because it seems like the slice results don't want to work with me in terms of contouring, but that's okay. So we'll just go with the original plan of just having this little fin cut out on the surfboard to make it a little more recognizable. So I'm just going to select both of our slice results, and I'm going to come down here to combine, and we are going to be welding both of these images together to get one full solid image. Perfect, and as you can see, now we have our weld result of our surfboard. So now I'm going to bring this back down to 6 inches in height so that it will work with all of the others. And now we can change its color. And we can change the color of the rest of these materials as well, so we have a better idea of what we're working with. Perfect. So now that we kind of have an idea of what all of the colors are going to look like, now what we can do is we can see how text is going to look on these. And something I always kind of forget and I have to keep in mind, remember that these are actually a lot bigger than they appear to be as they are right now because I'm so far zoomed out on our canvas. So these are 6 inches in height. So even if the lettering looks small, we can zoom in to make sure that everything is actually looking okay, because in the end, it's going to be big enough, I promise. So remember, for text, we just come over here and we're going to be clicking on the text feature. And once it loads in, we are going to type in what we want for this sign. And I just want it to say Summerween on it. Okay, so we are good to go. And actually, since this is going to be a 10 piece, what we can actually do, and we'll do this here in a minute, but we should be able to have 2 images, one on each side, that will be actually without text to it. So for now, we're just going to deal with this text though. So from here, we're going to change its sizing and its font. So let's get started with that. All right, so now we have found a text that we like, and I made it into a size that I'm happy with. Now, if you noticed, I did check and see on placing the individual lettering across the banner, I was looking to see how each one of these will look in the end. So I know I've changed the color of the font now, but I was looking to make sure, especially with the W is a lot thicker and a lot wider than most of the other letters. So I want to make sure that when it goes onto the banner, and in the way I'm thinking about setting this up, it's going to be going onto the surfboard. I just wanted to make sure that didn't necessarily look too odd. So I am happy with how I think it's going to turn out. So now that we're good with the Summerween text, I am actually going to come over here and we are going to ungroup all of the letters. So we're going to click on this, and then each of these individual letters is going to become its own layer. And now that we have ungrouped the letters, I know this is going to sound hilarious, but we're actually going to group it real quick. Once again, I know it sounds weird, but this is going to make it easier to move our layer all the way to the back, because now what we need to do is we need to make the holes on each of our banner pieces so that we can string it across. So moved the group all the way down to the bottom of our layers, and now if you wanted to, you can go ahead and ungroup them again as well. The nice thing is though, if you were to come over and make this project right now, all of these letters are still individualized, so it won't come up full across saying Summerween, one big block. They will still be all individual letters to be cut out, and you'll see what I mean when we make our project. So I'm going to leave it grouped. If you feel better having it ungrouped, go ahead and you can ungroup all of those letters in the exact same place. Now, as I said, we are going to be moving on to creating all of the holes to string our banner across. One thing I'm going to do before I start creating the holes on the banners is I'm going to duplicate this ghost layer, because at the end of the day, I am going to want a face on it. This is just going to be a precautionary measure that I'm taking, is having two of these ghosts. So as you saw, I just contoured the pieces of the face back out of our ghost. I am going to hide this layer for the time being. Hopefully I'm not going to need that. However, I just want to be prepared for every kind of scenario, just in case. All right, now we can go ahead and we can start to create the little holes for our banner. So we're going to come over here to shapes, and we're just going to be selecting a circle. We're going to make it super, super small. Now, before we do that, you're going to probably want to zoom in on your banner pieces, because we're going to be making those holes so small. And because it's blown up right now to be able to show all of the pieces at once, you might find at the end, if you don't zoom in or check sizing, that hole might be a lot bigger than you think. So we're just going to zoom in, and then we're going to start messing with the shapes, the circles for stringing across our banner. So what we've done now is we have created a hole that I know is going to be a good size for our banner. And this is the measurement that I use, 0.18 of an inch. And that is for both the width and the height of this circle. Technically, we could probably go a little bit smaller and do 0.16. just to make it a little bit smaller, because I noticed on our 4th of July banner, if you followed along with that project, the hole was big, and that was a good thing, but we could probably make it just a little bit smaller, especially since we're trying to focus more on the images and the banner itself for this project. Now, before I do this, I'm going to want to align all of these on top. So let's do that real quick. So we're just going to come back out, whoop, and I'm going to click and drag across. And I'm just going to align these on top. So hopefully I can get a better idea of what I'm going to be doing for each of these banners in terms of placement for these little holes. So I've zoomed back in a little bit on our project. I'm actually going to come in a little bit closer, but I wanted you to see that I have moved our banner up a little bit. So now I can see where I might like to place my holes across the banner. And each of these places looks to be pretty good. The one I was really kind of concerned about was the pumpkin in particular. Now I'm a little bit concerned about this ghost as well. I might turn the ghosty a little bit just so that we are putting both of the holes through the head and not through the head and say the arm, just to make it a little more aesthetically all put together. So now I am going to contour this ghost because I feel like it will be better if I have it where the face is out. I could probably get rid of that now, and from here we're going to start placing the holes for this. So I'm going to zoom back in on this project and we're going to start duplicating these circles and placing them on each piece, lining it up along this kind of placeholder line right here. And you'll see what I mean as we go. All right, perfect. So now that we have all of these little dots set up, there's one more thing I want to do before we start to slice these results. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be zooming back out just because I want to be sure that I can see most of the banner. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to be selecting all of these little circles that we just did, and I'm going to align them on the top once more just to make sure that they are all going to be on the same line. So when it cuts out, we know for sure 110% this is what we want in terms of the lineup for our image. And just so you know, for those of you who have been using a computer, what I've been doing is I was taking those little dots, I was aligning them on the line, and then I was just using the arrow keys to move it left or right. And I'm still not quite happy with how... Okay, that looks much better. So now that I'm pleased with how these all look, I'm just gonna start selecting all of these circles. And for computer, I'm just holding down on the shift key and I am selecting each one of these circles. Now I'm just going to hit align, and I'm actually going to center it vertically. We are good to go. All right, now that I have hit on that, now we know for sure that these images are going to all be aligned just like this onto our banner. So from here, what I'm going to do is now we're going to take each of these circles individually and we're going to be slicing it out of our project, which is going to take a minute, but it's definitely a necessary step in creating this banner. Perfect, so now everything is ready to go. All of our banner pieces have the little holes cut out for the string to go through, and I am just going to duplicate this ghost right here because when we put text over the top of it, the ghost isn't going to need the face. So if you wanted to, you could actually make this a double layered banner, and you could fill in all of the contour pieces and make it a little cool looking just by having the different colors stacked on top of each other. But I also don't want to make this banner too heavy, so I'm not going to be doing that today. However, if you wanted to do that for your own banner, you definitely can. I'm just not going to for this one. All right, perfect. So now that we have all of this ready to go, we are going to go ahead and save our banner. So just be sure that you hit on save. And then you're just going to hit save, and then we can title this project as a Summerween banner is what I'm choosing to call mine. And I'm just going to put a little thing at the side that says characters, just in case I want to make a different Summerween banner as well. So I'm just going to press save now, and we can continue on to make our project. Now, before we start to make our project, definitely make sure that your device has Bluetooth turned on, and then make sure that your Cricut machine is pulled out and that you turn it on so that it will be ready to cut out your project. All right, and if you are ready to go, feel free to pause the video if you need some more time, but otherwise we are just going to come over here and we are going to click on this green Make button. Now, since we are going to be creating this project out of paper, you're going to want to select on mat for your materials, and it's going to be on a 12 by 12 inch mat. From there, you can go ahead and hit confirm. Now, for the text, what we're going to want to do is we're going to bring this over and we're going to make it into a letter size piece of paper, which as you can see is 8.5 by 11 inches. And that's just going to make it easier for us to cut out all of our text, and it's separated into two different mats. Now I'm just kind of looking through here. I'm seeing how we can make it so multiple fit, and I am going to move this object onto this piece of paper. Hopefully I can turn this so that both will fit onto one page. Perfect, and now both of these images fit onto one singular piece of paper. I'm going to keep scrolling down, and we're going to continue with this for each of the pieces of paper, trying to get it so they fit onto one page instead of two. Alright, so I went ahead and I changed it so that multiple images hopefully fit onto the same piece of paper. You can see I'm kind of playing around with a couple of these, so I might not necessarily line it up exactly in the corner. Now, if you don't feel comfortable with that, just definitely go ahead, keep it, and use individual pieces of paper for each cut if you don't think it's going to make it. I've been doing this long enough that I can kind of finagle with the boundaries a little bit, but if you're not comfortable doing that, please don't push yourself with this. So the shells couldn't go on multiple pages. The pumpkins, however, could. And the suns also kind of could not, but the surfboards can. So we're all ready to go, so you can go ahead and click on continue down here and we can continue on with our cuts. Alright, so now we are connected to our maker or to whatever Cricut machine you are using, And then I am going to be using light cardstock as my material. So we're just going to go ahead and we're going to click on that material. Now from here it says that we need to load the tools and materials. So now we need to get out our paper, our light grip mat, and we need to get everything ready for cutting out our banner on the physical machine. So what we're going to do now is we are going to switch over to the camera so I can show you what to do from there. And just know that now through Cricut Design Space, each page is going to be the same. So you're always going to be hitting on light cardstock, you're going to be loading in the materials, and then you're going to be hitting on the buttons on your machine in order to cut out your pieces. So let's switch over to the camera. All right, so now we can go ahead and we can get started with cutting out our materials. So the first material that we want is going to be white cardstock because we're cutting out all of our letters. So if you just want to grab your light grip mat, you're going to want to peel the protective covering off because that just protects your stickiness from dust and dirt. And you're probably seeing my board is starting to get a little bit dirty. The nice thing is that it's still sticky. It's not a problem. So going to grab your cardstock, going to line up your material for this color in particular in the top left corner. I'm just going to kind of press it down a little bit, try to make sure that the corners don't come up. Then what we're going to do is we're going to put our mat underneath the guides. So always, always, always make sure that you are going under the guides and up to those rollers. Now from here, definitely make sure that your Cricut is out away from the wall or any other surface that it could hit in the back. And now we are going to go ahead and we are going to hit on the flashing load and unload button up here. Wonderful, and now that that is ready to go, we can just go ahead and click on the flashing go button over here, and our material is going to start to cut out. Wonderful, and now all of our lettering has been cut out for this page in particular. So I'm just going to unload the mat now. And from here, what we're going to be doing is we're going to take our mat and we're just going to bend it backward because the mat is a lot more durable than all of our other materials. And then you can just start to lift up this paper. Just try to make sure that the lettering stays down while you get your paper off of the mat. Now from here, we can take off our letters. Again, keep that board folded backward because it gives you a way to pull each of these pieces off without accidentally bending it, folding it, just helps keep your project clean and flat. So now that we have those letters done, we can continue on. So the next set of material that we're using, it's going to be more white paper because it's the rest of the lettering for our sign. Just going to hit light cardstock on our device. I'm going to once again put our material in the left-hand corner. I'm going to press it down. We're going to bring our mat up to the rollers underneath the guides. We're going to load in our material, and then we're going to continue cutting our materials out. And we're just going to keep repeating this process until all of our different pieces of our banner are cut out. right, so now that all of our pieces have been cut out, you can go ahead and come over to your computer or your device that you're using Cricut Design Space on, and you can hit done. And then from there, if you want to see if your project is saved once again, and you might want to keep it open for this project just so that you can see how the banner is supposed to be set up. I know that's what I'm going to be doing. Go ahead and grab your protective covering for your light grip mat. Stick it back onto your mat, and then you can go ahead and power off your Cricut. Close it up so you have space to work with. Now, from here, what we're going to be doing is I am very quickly just going to put these in the order that I want. So all of those are now ready to go in order. I don't actually need to do anything with the ghost. Now, if you'll notice, the ghost I did in gray. Now, the reason I did the ghost in gray is because I did the text in white. And the text is in white because of the black spider web. So everything is always up to your preference. If you wanted to change this where the ghost was white and the text was gray, you could go ahead and you could do that too. So now that we are ready to assemble our banner together, you're just going to want to have your glue or your tape nearby, and we are just going to start sticking all of these pieces onto our banner. Alright, so this banner is actually looking really good. Now we have all of the pieces stuck down. So all that's left to do at this point is to get it all strung together. So what you want to do now is you're going to want to grab your string, your yarn, your twine, whatever it is you want to use, and we're going to start stringing this banner together. All right, wonderful. So now we have all of our pieces strung onto our twine here. So now all that's left to do is get this hung up and space these out the way that we want. So let's check that out. All right, and so now here is the finished Summerween banner all hung up. It looks really good. I actually am really liking the way that it turned out. I see some things that I probably could change in the future if I wanted to do something like this again, which is always good to know. But otherwise, it turned out great. I'm very happy with it. And that's going to do it for today's episode of Craft Cut Magic. I hope you really enjoyed coming along and making this fun banner with me. If you had any questions or comments, if you have any questions at all on how I did things, you can definitely always feel free to comment below. I can try to help you out as best as I can. All right, I'll see you in the next episode. Thanks for watching.